As an adult, what do you miss doing when you were a kid, a teenager?
Just sitting around all day playing video games without a care in the world.
Oddly enough, that's the same thing with me. Oh my God. I didn't expect you to say that, but I guess I do expect you to say that. Because, yeah, I was just thinking about that too, in the sense of I miss spending hours and hours playing video games. Now, granted, there's a lot of adults that do that now. They make a living of it, or they just, from work, they come straight home. Either they're single or they have the married life, they have a
Yeah,
person in their lives, but they still, I guess, are not, they're unhappy. And like the only thing that makes them happy is video games.
true. But like for me, it was when I say not the care world, it's like it's not like you that's your escapism now as an adult, the video games. But you
Right.
still have to go back to the adult life. As a kid,
True.
even though you had school, like that didn't register to you. Like I have to go back to school. I have to do this. You're just there. You're in that moment. Even if you weren't playing video games, you were outside playing or enjoying those moments. Those moments was your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we grew up, or when we were growing up, especially me, since I am 12 years younger, huh?
I'm 12
You're
years
12.
younger.
Sorry. Sorry. But sometimes I feel younger than you.
Sometimes you
But
are.
what was I saying?
We had the same answer and like about the video
Right,
games.
right, right, right. Yeah, yes. Growing up, there was only three, four, maybe major channels: ABC, NBC, CBS, then later Fox.
Yep.
You also had PBS for those weird shows like Doctor Who.
Eventually, we got the USA Network, and then we
Right,
got the
but but
paid
but
channels.
yes, then cable came in a little bit more into our lives. It's not like today where we have streaming where we can binge, but like in the summer, there was a lot of reruns. You already saw it. There's like really no need to see it again or no desire to see it again. So yes, you either got yourself distracted by either going outside, playing with your friends, going to the city pool, playing video games on Atari, ColecoVision,
Nintendo.
not Nintendo, but it was something else before Nintendo too, and I can't remember. It was around same as ColecoVision, Atari. It was kind of like the same. There was another brand I can't remember right now,
It
but
was before
Atari
me.
during my time it was Atari, and then when you came along, it was Nintendo. That was the main
Yeah.
thing, and then later on PlayStation, and then later on Xbox. Sega also had a console at one time.
Boy, Sega was strong with their console for the longest
Yeah,
time.
Sega Genesis. But anyway, I miss just spending hours and hours playing video games as a kid, as a teenager, as an early adult, where it was just me living a single life. And even though I had a job, so like that, there'd be times where I just spent like another 8 hours just playing Street Fighter or the original Arkham Asylum Batman game. I miss that. But now I'm a full grown adult in a serious relationship. I have other responsibilities and I like spending time with Kim. So I very hardly spend time on the video game consoles, but I do miss it. Like I sometimes I put it on, I'm like, ooh, and I just stay away from it because I know how much time is going to eat up. The
Yeah,
Uncharted, the Tomb Raider games, yeah, like Street Fighter, UFC, Tekken. Those are
it's
good
just
because you
straight
can just
fighting.
have straight fighting. You mean you can do the stories mode or just do the like one-on-one action,
Hmm.
and I just usually do the one-on-one action, and then I get my fix, if you will, and then I go back. But again, those story modes can sometimes take a lot.
Yeah,
That being said, growing up, there was a lot of great movies, especially in the 80s and 90s, and we're seeing lately, a lot lately, remakes or revisions of the original.
what's the difference between a remake and a revision?
A remake is pretty much having the same characters, meaning like the same full name characters.
Ah,
Some have done like a carbon copy, like the one with Vince Vaughn's Psycho. I never
yeah,
saw it, but I heard it was a copy to copy, image to image of the original,
yeah,
but
and
in
they
color.
changed like a few things, but it's for the most part it's the same movie. Where
I,
a
I heard that
revision
there's
is
no change from that one,
okay,
but there are some ones. Yes, it'll take some creativity to show a different aspect
like
or point
RoboCop.
of view. Yes, RoboCop, exactly. Yes, where we have now streaming currently on Amazon Prime. And at the time of this review, the new Roadhouse starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
And we just both watched the original with Patrick Swayze. And to me, the new one is a revision, not necessarily a remake.
I
It's
agree.
a revision. We're about to review the 1989 cult classic Roadhouse.
Family Guy kicking somebody.
Well, that's what I was saying because I'm about to talk about that and how important this movie, this Roadhouse, has been on pop culture.
Yes.
Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm a Don.
where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert. Yes, as you said, Family Guy. If you watch Family Guy, if you're a big fan of Family Guy, they make several references to Roadhouse. Because this movie, as cheesy as it can be, is a fun movie. I remember watching it in Puerto Rico when I went there to visit, and they had Spanish subtitles at the bottom for those who spoke Spanish, and those, of course, regular in English on screen. How old were you when this came out?
5.
So you don't remember it then. You didn't watch it then. You watched it later.
Well, no, funny enough, I never watched it. I've seen clips and I was familiar with it. And matter of fact, when I started watching it, I thought one particular performer was the bad guy based on the spotty memory of scenes I've seen over the years. And then when I watched it entirely, I'm like, oh, I had this movie completely wrong.
Wow. Well, before we get into it, let's give credit where credit is due. As always, you have starring here Patrick Swayze as Dalton, the ever so sexy Kelly Lynch playing Dr. Elizabeth Clay. Can we damn say this ever so sexy Sam Elliott as Wade Garrett? Because he had a freaking fan base. His
Sam
deep
Elliott,
voice, that thick mustache, that long hair he had back then.
even into his later years, he's just iconic.
The ladies love this motherfucker. Is that Western twang? Ben Gazzara playing Brad Wesley, Marshall Teague as Jimmy. That was his right-hand man, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Julie Michaels, Denise, that was the whore, the town whore, if you will.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Kind of, there was plenty, but I'm just saying she was like the main one. You have Sunshine Parker playing Emmett, Red West playing Red Webster. Wow, that's original. And he was Elvis Presley's bodyguard, driver.
In real life?
Like, yeah, in real life. Like, those times where Elvis Presley was doing martial arts, he had like that big ass belt down to the floor and he was doing all these demos. Red West was his instructor along with Ed Parker because he was doing Kempo karate.
Oh.
And there's old videos of Elvis Presley doing martial arts stuff with Ed Parker being there and also Red West. You have Jeff Healey. He was Cody. He was the band, the lead guitarist, the blind guy.
Yeah.
Who unfortunately passed away due to cancer in his 40s.
But it's actually cool that he is legitimately a Canadian blues rock singer. Like,
when this movie came out, or right before this movie came out, I remember seeing him on Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
And he lost his sight due to cancer in the eyes. So unfortunately, it's a sad story. You think about cancer was on him one way or another.
Yes, since childhood.
Sad. Yes. Kevin Tighe was Frank Tillman. He was the owner of the Double Deuce.
He was the one I thought that was the bad guy.
His voice is like it sounds like a voice acting, like he does voice characters.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
But he hasn't. I looked. I didn't see. I looked him up, and he didn't do any voice acting. He was straight up like screen acting. John Doe played Pat McGurn. McGurn. That's a weird name. McGurn. He was the bartender that was stiffing Double Deuce.
Yes.
Money in his pocket, right? You have Kathleen Without. That was Carrie. She was in a lot of other films. She was the waitress.
The one that brought him breakfast.
Yes. Travis McKenna. He was Jack. He was the heavyset bouncer.
Yes.
Gary Hudson. He was the bouncer that was a pedophile, if you will, going underage girls. They got fired having sex in the bar room, whatever you want to call it, the supply room.
Yeah.
WWE Hall of Famer Terry Funk was Morgan. You have Michael Ryder. He was O'Connor. He was the one that, I'm sorry, boss. He gets punched in the face.
Yes, the tall guy.
Anthony DeLongis. He was Ketchum. He was the one with the knife boot.
Oh, did nothing.
And why is it the movies that we love of yesteryear, shows, be it animation or live action movies, this guy has always been in it.
No, he's not been in all of them.
Keith David,
I mean,
he was in this motherfucker. I didn't know he was in this. When I saw the credits in the beginning of the movie, I said, "Wait a minute, he's in this." And I was thinking, who who could he be? I was like, oh, he's the bartender. And then there he is. He's the bartender that shows up after the Double Deuce gets renovated. He's been in a lot of our movies that we like.
Maybe he just recognized his greatness and that we should just
Or
go
his
down.
manager did. His manager did.
Maybe
Because
we should just go
holy
down the
crap.
Keith David film.
Yeah. And we also have Tito La Riva. He was a musician that we saw, I think, where we meet Dalton, the first club where he gets hired by the Double Deuce owner.
Okay.
He was also in Desperado, and he was also in Dust to Dawn.
No, I remember what movies.
Quentin
But I'm trying.
Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. He was the only Spanish singer of the movie.
Oh, this dude.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, but that's the thing, like when we were talking about Keith David, like this is their early work. They weren't the stars of the film; they were practically extras.
No, I know, but Tito, his face is recognizable. He was in one of the Talking Heads video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the heavy guy that got smashed by the polar bear.
Oh, that dude.
I can't see who he is, and I knew it. I knew this guy was in this. Henry Kingi. Henry Kingi, he was in Predator 1 and 2. He was one of the military that gets killed in the first one, and then he was the leader in the second one that gets killed.
Yeah,
he gets all the cocaine.
So he was also in the Batman, right? Batman Returns. Was he one of the clown guys?
Possibly.
Or he was in another movie we talked about.
Well, he's in the Continental. He's in Venom. He's in the Fast and the Furious.
He's in like all the movies we talked about.
He was in Captain America: Civil War and Batman v Superman.
Jesus.
Okay, he was in also The Winter Soldier, Need for Speed, Total Recall, the remake, Black Dynamite. Well, I don't see him in Batman. But Rotten Tomatoes has it at 41% by the critics, 67% by the audience. I can understand why it's low score in both, but it is fun. This reminded me of a modern day blend of a Western and a Kung Fu film.
I can get that. With
Dalton as like a Bruce Lee character.
He is.
He pretty much is.
He's like
he is Kwai Chang Caine.
Yes.
Yeah, Kwai Chang Caine. In a sense, like he studies philosophy, even though he is in a life of violence.
Mm-hmm.
He is very calm. He has that Zen mentality, but violence is always the last resort.
Yes, even in like the way he handles his business.
Yes, exactly. Be nice. Even they call you piece of shit, what have you. Paraphrasing, of course.
Yeah.
What do they say? My mom's a whore.
Well, like, is she?
You know, and then he gets masked. And it's funny how a guy who said it, the character is a womanizer.
Absolutely.
And he's like, it's kind of like R. Kelly. R. Kelly had all these songs about like going down the girl, blah, 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 whatever you call it. And then he says, one song, this is for my mother. You just use 20 songs to bash women or to defile them, but you're going to honor your mom.
But his mama's not a woman. That's his mama.
But by all means, she's a woman. Anyway, a lot of cheesy lines here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of lines that reminded me of Kung Fu films. Prepare to die. Like that, you know, and things of that nature. I found the hysterical in that aspect. To me, the comic relief was the heavyset guy.
Yes.
You have some great fight scenes. Granted, a little cheesy in a way, I would think. In a sense, like the spinning back kick. The spinning back kick always has the toes up. And you're looking at the target, which I understand. In the stunt world, you pretty much have to make eye contact, keep eye contact as much as possible to your partner. Because you don't want to do it blindly, if you will, and accidentally hit your partner in the wrong spot.
Yes.
Now, of course, it's gotten more refined where through high repetitions, it's almost like second nature by the time it goes onto the screen nowadays. But back then, it was more like, let's learn it now and let's do it. Patrick Swayze, he himself was a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
He was a black belt, and I think in either Shotokan or Taekwondo, the nemesis.
You talking about the guy who likes to, oddly enough, I think he beat up on the girl, Marshall Teague.
Yeah, I don't think Marshall Teague beat up the girl.
Really?
I think it was Brad Wesley.
I mean, it was all off camera, so it could have been either or both.
Right, but Brad Wesley was a dick.
He was
one of the perfect villains ever on film, in my belief.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the 80s. He was a great villain. And you have Jimmy, he's like Darth Vader, and Brad Wesley is Palpatine.
I'll give you that. Like if Darth Vader had a true anger management problem where he just like lashed out at everything for
What are you
Jimmy.
talking about? If he had a true match,
I mean, in a sense, like Darth Vader was angry, but controlled anger in a lot of ways. He directed his anger for his tasks for the Emperor. He didn't lash out. Well, I mean, yeah, he kind of. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I reset.
yeah,
I reset my
hello.
comment. I reset my comment.
I was going to say what he controlled himself a lot. He controlled himself a lot, but it wasn't because of those anger. It's because of the ignorance of those who did not know the Force. Yes,
Sure.
he was angry all the time, and he was always in pain. Where Jimmy was, it was just like he was like a trained
Attack
actor.
dog.
That's what he was. He even referred to it when Dalton brought the girl back to Brad and says, you better have a better job putting your pets on a leash." And he goes, "Speaking of which, Jimmy." And Jimmy comes out of the pool hall and he starts swinging the pool stick like a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Like I said, this is like a martial arts film. It's like a Western where a stranger in a strange land.
It's kung fu.
Right? Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, he comes in to clear the town. And this is, you see this in Kung Fu. You see this in many Westerns. You saw this in The Seven Samurai.
Yes. And matter of fact, in the Samurai, they do the same thing. They hire an outsider to help clean up the town. That's what they did here. Dalton is hired as an outsider to help clean up the Double Deuce.
And what does he do? He trains the people within that bar, a town in itself,
To manage itself and protect
correct.
itself.
Right. It's like, once you're good, I'll leave.
Yeah.
He ended up staying there. You know, this brought out not just a revision or remake, but also a spin-off or a sequel.
Yeah, it was like Roadhouse 2 last call.
Yeah.
Never watched
Yeah.
it.
Me neither. I think we should, because you have legit martial artists in that movie. Plus, it's also, it takes place as, it's not a remake, but is his son.
Swayze's son?
No, Dalton's.
Oh,
And the doctor's son.
okay.
Before we get into the faux pas, what have you, do you have any favorite moments?
It's not really moments, it's certain things that were done that I just thought were clever. The car. I thought the car part was actually clever because like he had one particular
crash?
well he
Or no, you're talking about the buying a beat up car.
yes, and basically
Okay.
and I put it together like so he goes from one being bouncer from one place to another. He has one pretty decent car that he loves. But every time he goes to a place he buys a beat up car because he knows that beat up car is going to be trashed every place he goes. And I personally like the car he bought, but like the first night someone threw a brick in and a stop sign and so forth like that. I'm like, that's actually
Slashes tires.
tires.
Well, yeah, we see him. He gets a beat up car and he buys spare tires.
Yes. He knows what's going to
before he
happen.
Right, exactly. See, that's what I like about stuff like this. Some movies skip on backstory. Some movies give too much backstory.
More so like how they execute some of the things. So like when we're
yes.
talking about the car and in
Backstory without talking about
exactly
saying-
the
talking about
whole
it.
thing about how Dalton is like a legend and like, oh yeah, did you
Right.
hear about he killed a guy and da da da? They never show it. In the briefest of conversations with Sam Elliott's character, do they even explain how that happened and what did it happen?
Well, no, at the diner, they're talking about it, and Wade is like, "You got to let it go, buddy. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's what I'm
let it
talking
go."
about. But that was like
Right.
30 seconds at most.
No, but you can see that he's troubled. He has a past, or he's haunted by his actions of the past.
Yes,
and
that's why I'm saying
and
that's
he's
such a good
never
moment.
pushed. Right. No,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. But also, you have like you find out more about him also when he meets the doc.
Yeah, that's true. He does talk a little
Well,
bit.
well, he has, but he has like a thing full of documents of his injuries, like showing like it is thick. It is thick. It's not like in Enter the Dragon where they have like a thin
Like
piece
a
of
one paper
file,
dossier.
yeah, of their investigation of Han, where he has like a freaking like 3-inch file
Hmm.
deep of his injuries and stuff. Granted, it's a little slower piece, but it's setting a point with him and Doc, that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And again, you're learning more about him. He's a philosophy major,
Hmm.
and which makes no sense for a guy who does what he does, but it does make sense in that way. Bruce Lee, that's what I'm saying, where it honors Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee went to Washington State as a philosophy major, even though he didn't graduate, but that was his major. Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. They gave his backstory without taking time to give that backstory,
Yeah.
like a
It
flashback
felt
or anything
good
like
within
that.
the movie.
I mean, it all came together when he ripped the guy's throat out, Jimmy's throat out.
Yes.
That's what it was. He was pushed to the limit. They implied that, and then what kept on going. And then they were like, but we said, oh, that's what it was. He
Yeah.
killed a man. I think that was great. I think so. Is there another moment or a
Eh,
scene?
So this is going to be more like I enjoy it because it made me laugh. So the end final confrontation between Dalton and all the leading up to the big boss. After the fight with Jimmy, the car drives in, explodes. He's not there, but then starts manifesting like a great white ninja and starts eliminating them one by one.
Right.
Like he'll just show up, boom, 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 take them out, and then like disappears.
But you know what? He is a white ninja because he's wearing a karate gi top. Did you not notice that?
Yeah, I know. I noticed. And
Tucked in
at
his
one point
jeans.
to myself, I said, "Was this the precursor to American Ninja? What the hell happened?"
It always bothered me why he's wearing a karate gi and it's tucked in his jeans because there's no buttons or nothing like
Yeah.
that to keep it open. It's open up. Is apparent is a
That's
cheap
his
material,
battle gi.
and he's has the sleeves rolled up. But yeah, I was like, huh?
And then he knocks over the bear for the guy. He does all this outlandish, kung foolery,
Quiet,
and then the bear.
right? But everything else is all quiet. With the bear, yes, he's like, "Ain't it?" Like you hear it moving and falling. Oh, before we go, that car dealership scene where the guy runs over all the cars.
Yes.
Benny the Jet Yukides is there. He's one of the fight choreographers.
Really?
He's wearing a blue shirt.
That he was like one of the people in the background.
But he's also one of the fight choreographers.
Yeah.
Which I find it or stuntmen. But I found it great. I love Sam Elliott's portrayal of Wade Garrett.
For such a
Chemistry.
short-lived character, because he wasn't there that long. It
No,
was
you're right.
very iconic and memorable.
Wade Garrett is his mentor.
Yes.
He calls him Mijo. He calls him son. So you know there's a relationship. You know that like he trained him in a way of that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you know that how old he was in that movie? Once you look it up. We looked it up. It was like, holy crap, no way.
45.
The man looks like he's in his 60s in that movie. I'm freaking 51.
He's older than Dad.
Now he is, but back then he looked like as old as Dad now.
Yes.
And Patrick Swayze, he was definitely in his 30s. Damn, Sam Elliott always looked old.
Oh yeah, he's like the cowboy version of Patrick Stewart. I mean, when you look eternally old, you're eternally young. It's like
yes, Steve Martin. Steve Martin had gray hair since he was like in his 30s, maybe.
But for the last 40
20s.
years, he looks the same.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I'm just saying, it's like, wow, he looks old. Like you would think for being a mentor and that you think way over 50.
Yeah.
But again, cool ass character. Part where Jimmy is beating up the bouncers and you see Sam Elliott kind of smiling and getting ready, the rubber band in his mouth, and he's putting his hair back like a samurai.
Oh,
he's getting it ready. He's getting ready.
When
like
the
for
girl
battle.
That was actually when the girl was dancing on stage and he started putting the hair band back.
Was that okay? The dance?
So
he knew.
He knew what was going to come.
But I thought that was great. Like he didn't take any chances. He's that experienced.
Yeah. Or like when his character first approaches and first comes in, they're beating on Swayze's character Dalton, and and they're calling him old man and all this other stuff. And he walks up to him, and the big guy approaches him first. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, when he says, you want to fight, little dick, or whatever, something like that. He says, well, I'm not going to show you my dick. And he starts.
Yes, he says something like that.
And he kicks him in the knee and then starts fighting. Yeah. But it was wasn't it like they were talking first? He was having a conversation with Dalton.
He was watching Dalton being beaten on, and he just starts having a conversation.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, that's very nonchalant of you. Okay. But again, it's like, we've been here before. Like nothing has changed. They even said that after the Jimmy fight and they all left.
Yeah, they like
After the
laughed
what
and
was
had a
it?
good time.
Different towns, same
Problems.
outcome, or something like that. Something like that,
Yeah.
or yeah, same problems, something like that. For me, my favorite scene was the fight with Dalton and Jimmy on the lake.
Okay. Two problems about that scene. It's a good
Oh,
scene. It's a
there's
good
plenty.
scene.
It's plenty. It's a fun scene. It's a
It's a
good. I
fun
think it's
scene.
good too.
First, he chased down a motorcycle. He went T2000.
No, 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 no.
Are you going
So
to argue he cut it off because he took a shortcut?
yes,
Oh my! Go
because he
ahead.
did.
He
He
went
did.
across. Those things move so quick.
I understand that, but where he was with Emmett and Doc after the building blew up, Jimmy went around the long way and stopped by the water and then started cutting across, which made no sense. You would think he would go the other way because the house looked closer from where he was,
Yeah.
his boss's house where he was, and he cuts across. So yes, he cuts across.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, because true story, Terminator 2, the actor caught up to John
Oh, I
Connor
know.
in real
Oh,
life.
I know, because he was an athlete.
Yeah. Well, he specifically trained for that scene, and like they told him he had to slow down because he would catch the motorcycle.
Right. Well, the thing is with that, you have to have a certain speed for the motorcycle for not to look so far away.
Yes.
Because a motorcycle is definitely faster than a human feet. So there's like a timing. It has to look like you're about to without catching it. So, but the bike cannot go too far away because it then looks really weird on camera.
Plus, if you're making turns and constantly like
Right.
it cuts momentum, so I'm
Well,
gonna give it a pass.
plus he was also like on dirt, sand, whatever he was.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though it was a dirt bike, the ground goes underneath of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like that scene, and so what I find funny was the back kick is like that because even though Patrick Swayze is a
Everything but the back kick.
no, yeah, yeah. If you notice also, he did this in Point Break, he in this movie as well, that when he hits, he puts way too much effort and he'll like turn his head and all this stuff like to really try to sell the technique.
Like
And I
Van Damme.
just find no Van Damme will just pose and like,
Oh no! When Van Damme did this, the helicopter kick.
well, he did the helicopter. You can't spin your head and all that stuff that much. He just no. What I'm talking about, like he'll like do a Patrick Swayze will do a kick, and he'll just like shake his head or turn his head, have his hair flow, whatever, or he'll throw
Oh,
a punch to really sell like the
the
strength
impact.
behind the technique. Well, the strength behind the technique. Like
Yeah.
he's really putting effort into it. It's like that where it's not needed, and that's what was hard with a lot of like martial artists going into film because what you do in the real world
Doesn't
can't
translate
doesn't
film wise.
correct. Because the thing is, like, you throw the technique, the person who's supposed to really sell it is the one that's getting hit,
True. I get that.
you know? But I just like that scene. You have these two martial artists, two warriors facing off. Some good techniques, the wrist throw that Jimmy does on Dalton, and Dalton goes like, whoa, like holy crap.
Yeah. What you think of the
When he
Eagle
does,
Claw?
that's straight up a kung fu movie. And
I
how
feel
to
like there was
do it.
also like a Jackie Chan one where they did something similar.
That was,
Drunken Master, right? The original.
That was a walnut.
Yes, but he also grabbed a guy with
Right.
like that.
It was the walnut. It was a walnut break.
Yeah.
Correct. But it was just with the two fingers.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's another one, Snake in the Eagle's Shadow.
Ooh, that
I
might have
think
been
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That one too. Great films. Great films.
I didn't like the
And
doctor in that scene though, because she's like, "You're a monster, just like my uncle," da 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 da, or something like that. And I'm like,
no, his
"Yo,
uncle. No, that
the
wasn't
guy,
her uncle.
no, because she was calling. That was her. That was her, no, her cousin. Her
No,
cousin.
no. Brad Wesley?
Yeah,
No,
they were supposed to be related.
no. He wanted her.
No,
Yes.
no.
Why would he go after so much for her? For her?
Well, for one, control, but that she says that she's related to him. He wants the double deuce for other reasons, not because of her. She has nothing to do with the double deuce.
No. I understand. But the thing is, do you remember Knife Boot guy?
Yeah,
He and another guy catch Dalton and Clay, the doctor,
yeah.
together. And Jimmy and Boot guy. And he says, "Oh, dig yourself an early grave." It's because he had the hots for her. She was the one that got away at the car dealership after all of the demolition that happened. He says, get him to go away or it gets worse." Brad Wesley wanted Dr. Clay. Hello?
Holy shit! No,
Am I right?
I'm googling it. So I was confusing one part. So she is Red's daughter and one-time love interest of Wesley. Okay.
Ta-da!
And Wesley became jealous.
Yes.
That's my fault. That's my fault for confusing it. But still,
Yes.
they're like Dalton clearly, even though he ripped a man's throat out, self-defense. And
Oh,
and,
no,
and
yeah, you're
I've
right.
and she walked away. She's like, "We're done. You're just as crazy as he is." I'm like, "Bro, he did not even toss the Jimmy into the water until after she left. Like he was saying
Well, no,
until
the
she
whole
walked
thing,
away."
how about this? The whole thing, the how Emmett's house got blown up or
Yeah.
attacked. Dalton just went in there without a thought to rescue him.
Mm-hmm.
Then the house blows up, and then he tries to stop the guy. The guy pulls out a gun after all that melee. It was definitely self-defense, and he was like, "How dare you kill someone?" He's trying to freaking kill him.
That's right. Matter of fact, I always I thought it was also weird that she shows up at Wesley's house, unmedicated, unannounced, like
Unmedicated.
pre. I was trying to say like premeditated or like I got my words mixed up. You mess up names all the time. I can mess up a word every now and then. So
Fair enough.
she just shows up right at that final moment where Dalton changes his mind about killing Wesley, and
Uh
she just
huh.
happens to be there and shows up.
Hey, don't forget. Guess who else showed up?
Yeah, but the other guys had more of a reason than she did.
But the thing is, they all were in the same group. Think about it. She
I
was there. She was there when the shop was blown up. She
True.
was there when the dealership got demolished. She was there. Everyone that was there at the end was directly impacted by Brad Wesley.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And she had stake. Since you're saying that she's Red's daughter,
Yeah.
there's okay, so she's there for her dad too. There's a reason why she's there because she didn't show up by herself. She showed up while they showed up,
Because I was about
but
to say
they
you're
came out
making it sound like they carpool.
not with Dalton, but with them. Yes, she probably knows the landscape
Yeah.
better because she's probably was there.
I mean, it's not like they had much resistance getting in though. Everybody's already
True.
gone
Well,
or
there's no security.
they're all knocked out or dead.
Correct. Now let's go over faux pas because there's plenty of that too.
I mean, I already talked a little bit what I thought was a little bit about football, but I
Mhm.
mean, as entertaining as they are, not the crispest and not the greatest of fights. For being
Correct.
like a martial art master, some of those moves and some of those fight techniques just look like you're a brawler, my guy, who likes
Oh,
to do
true.
tai chi to stretch out.
That's the thing. Like you can be the most perfect karateka kata performer, like in
Yes,
tournaments, stuff like that. But when it comes to the real world, a
you're
lot of
probably gonna
times
do
you're doing
studio
this.
basics.
No, yeah, you just go to what you can. There's
Hmm.
nothing clean about it unless you're sparring or fighting a person of the same level,
Yeah,
like we saw in the lake fight.
yeah. That
It was
there you
kind of
saw a
like,
little bit more
yeah,
techniques.
but at the like in a bar fight, you'll just go for it. It's kind of like Jikendo, Bruce Lee's art, where you just use what's useful. It doesn't have to be pretty; it has to be effective. Before we go back to the faux pas, when Jimmy took down the bodyguards with the pull stick,
Yeah,
you got to admit that was clean.
it was good.
You saw that his technique was up there
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the pull stick and the staff. And when he fought Wade for that moment, I kind of like it in a way too, because he goes for a low kick and Wade blocks it with the good leg, but he can't move the bad leg so well, so he gets kicked in the leg.
Hmm.
It's real quick, but it's subtle, and it's like he just picks up, blocks, and then he gets hit, and then he gets punched. Definitely not a martial artist. His movements, it felt like more of those 1930 boxing with the palms facing you.
I never took it that he was the one that mentored him in fighting as a martial artist. It was more like how to be a bouncer and how to live that life as a
Mhm.
mentor. That's what I interpreted it as.
Okay, fair enough.
Although I did love that
Right.
knee kick.
Oh no,
Um,
yeah. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like Wade could have been the one that helped him channel all
yes,
of that fighting knowledge that he has and how to look like all the things, like what to look out for, uh, who to attack, what to watch out,
because
how to
you see
how
that in the
to end the
movie.
situation.
He when the first day he's there, he's just there assessing. He's watching.
Yeah,
He's learning. He's seeing the things, and he knows the rules of being a bouncer and being a bar, keep and so forth like that. It's
a
not. He's
cooler.
not just a higher muscle.
Right, he's a cooler. He's the manager of the bouncers.
Exactly. And you see that, which I thought was very good in that sense. Like you could hire a muscle, but
Mhm.
you hire a cooler. That's their job.
You got to train the muscles to be effective and to create little damage of the premise as
That's why I
possible.
always get them out.
Right. And that was great what he did with that one time. Let's take it outside. And they all go outside.
He's
And he
like,
just smiles and walks inside. He
yeah,
got him out. I think that was in the beginning, wasn't it? I think that was the
very. That
beginning.
was his introduction.
Yeah. Yeah,
What was
exactly.
your
Exactly.
faux pas?
Oh, there's so many.
Go.
Okay, this is an 80s movie. The hairstyle of the girls. Holy crap.
Sign of the
Wow.
times, bro. Sign of the
But
times.
I know, but even Kim said, holy crap. Like she forgot she used to dress like that with her hair teased out and all like that, looking like, I don't know, those blow up fish. Oh, these girls had like the hair coming out and then down, just like they look like kind of like fish.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like, right? And then like Clay, Dr. Clay, every time you saw her, her hair was so big, except for when she was in the doctor's uniform. Every time her hair was like out, then it got smaller and smaller and more natural, less hairspray, less mousse. Everyone who had a cowboy boot on wore it inside their jeans or pants, besides knife boot.
I don't know if that's the actual style, like where you're supposed to put your jeans inside your.
You're not supposed to. No, I don't think so. I think there was some style like I think that was like more like the hick style.
Okay.
But no, you don't. But Terry Funk, when we see him knocked out towards the end of the movie,
Mhm.
it's real quick. And I was like, wait a minute, let me flash back. He had Adidas cowboy boots. I was like, wait a minute, what? And then we looked and I was like, wait a minute, what? It makes no sense. But I was like, wait a minute. Terry Funk, he was a wrestler. And a lot of times, wrestlers, as part of their character's persona, will have not just a boot, but they'll have a boot infused with another type of boot, a cowboy boot. Because if you see them laid out,
Mhm.
white and blue and white boots, you see the bottom, the rubber sole, like a sneaker,
Yeah.
tie lace, and then by the ankles to mid calf is a cowboy boot. And a
So-
lot of wrestlers did that back in the day. I don't know if that was like a Easter egg or on purpose, but they're tucked inside his pants. No, his pants are tucked inside his boots, and it's real quick. You got to like I had to freeze frame it to make sure. Pretty interesting that the car that his Mercedes goes in a straight line to the house.
You can see if you looking at it again, you see the stunt driver.
Oh, you did? I saw like because to me like the screen, the windshield looked black.
The windshield was tinted, but because of the sun, you could see the hands actually going like this.
Okay.
And I like the one guy gets the one shot with the car in the air perfectly to cause it to explode.
Oh, that's what she said too. It's like, wow, this town really explodes a lot.
Highly
Kim said.
flammable.
I'm just like everything, the building, the house, the car, it just blows up so easily. But that's how it was back then in the sense of like the
Don't drive a
silly action.
Pinto.
Oh, don't drive like what we had growing up.
We had
That's
a
what mom
Pinto?
had. Yes, this is when you were like just born or right before you were born. Mom had a Pinto, a blue Pinto.
Weren't they like one of the most unsafe vehicles you could have?
I don't know. I kind of like this. It served this purpose. I don't know. I mean, we were safe when we had it.
There was a car out there that like you hit the back of it was known for exploding.
Oh, maybe a Pinto, but luckily we never got hit. Not when I was in it.
I talked about that the end scene where it was both
Oh.
great and bad at the same time that he turned into a ninja. So
I don't know if it was so bad, but I just think it's like it shows more backstory in the sense how well he was in his martial arts in the sense of what he was trained in. He could have been a ninja. You never know. He could have been like Snake Eyes, and then he retired from GI Joe, and then this is what he does.
this is the start of that anime Ninja Kamui.
Right.
It disappears.
I just find it weird that the town's villain is literally across the lake from the town's hero.
It's very Florida. I'm not lying. I'm not.
But
So where
that's the
Dad
premise.
lives,
But kind of the premise where the new Roadhouse, it takes place in Florida.
yes, but where Dad lives, there's a lot of like lazy rivers, and there's a lot of homes that are old money homes, and then
Uh-huh.
across the rivers, like where you can put that, and like there's parks and other people, like it. That's a thing.
No, but but I'm saying you can have a nice house and a mansion, whatever, and not be a dick, not be the
The
town's
town,
villain,
yes, he
right?
just
You don't have to
hid
be that. He was, but I'm just saying how convenient that the villain, the antagonist of the story, and the protagonist of the story are literally across
neighbors.
the lake from each other. Yes, there's two differences because Dalton is not of money. He lives a simple life.
Yes, He gets what he needs monetarily, but
Right.
he lives a
And
simple
Brad
life.
Wesley is of money. Maybe he wasn't of originally, but he made his money. He was the Donald Trump of the town, if you will,
Yeah, no,
living
he
off the
says it like he believes his purpose in life is to gain power through others, and monetarily, and emotionally and physically. He's like his sole goal is to own everything and manage everything.
even though he says I made this town, like he still lives off the town. Just like a mafia. It's a mafia story too, because mafias a lot of times did that. Or
Or
Yakuza, whatever. They'll to get protection, you gotta pay me.
yes, or well,
And,
the whole
and
liquor
protection is
license.
right. And then the protection is not really protection is like pay me for I don't destroy your shit.
Yep. Hmm.
He paid off the cops, the pretty much the city, the government, what have you, the local government was in his pocket.
In fact, they like you don't really see the cops until the very end.
Right. Well, they let him do whatever.
Yeah,
Yes,
if his
of the
people are involved, the cops never show.
because they're in his pocket. Don't
Hmm.
show up. You're gonna hear a lot of noise. Don't worry about it. This is worth a watch, even though this is from 1989.
I would, considering from one who has never seen it properly, yes,
So you're saying prior to this review, this is the first time you saw it?
in its entirety, yes.
Wow.
Plus, I also noticed funny thing, they never call it Roadhouse at all.
No, they don't. They call it a double deuce.
Call it Double Deuce. I'm like, I was talking about this with a coworker. I'm like, not once was the term or phrasing of Roadhouse ever used.
But did you notice that when Dalton shows up, I believe he says the double douche.
Yes, he's intentionally making fun of it. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
What about you? Is this worth it?
Oh, yes. Even though it's a little cheesy. And the music again, I don't know why in the 80s, and it's so loud. And again, it's the same, I believe it's the same composer that had did Lethal Weapon.
Hmm.
It had that vibe. Yep, Michael Kamen. And also I forgot to mention who directed this. It was directed by Rowdy Harrington and written by R. Lance Hill and Hilary Henkin. Another popcorn film, something that you don't have to overly think. It gets to the point. There's a nice pace to it. There are some slow moments. I do have to say, I do find it funny that Patrick Swayze, who is semi-rip, he's thin,
Hmm.
but he does these flexing motions like as if he's like the Hulk. He's like, oh, you do, and then, and then. I was like, dude, come on, you're not big. He's slightly smaller of Mark Singer from Beastmaster, who
Fair
was
enough.
ripped and muscular
Yeah,
for a thin one.
Mark Singer was shredded. Like
Yes,
maybe that's a homage to Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon. Hmm.
I understand, but Bruce Lee was built and shredded.
Yes, Bruce Lee wasn't
And
thick; he was just extremely shredded.
no, right, but he was strong. And when he do his wingspan,
Yeah,
it was there.
his lats
And
were
then when
like eagle
right,
wings.
and Patrick did it, it was just like there was no wingspan whatsoever. Now, again, back to the Rotten Tomato score: 41% by the critics, 67% by the audience. Which one do you fall more in line with?
I'll go with the audience. I
Me
actually
too.
probably go higher.
Correct. Same thing too. I think is a fun film. The action is not great, but it's good.
Hmm.
The story does sell well. It falls in line of those westerns, those samurai films, those kung fu films. As we mentioned before, it has a blend of all that wrapped into a modern, semi-modern day tale.
Yeah.
Now, I think I do want to watch the sequel since it centers around the sun, just to see how it is. I think it was directed to DVD or to video. I don't think it ever went into
I doubt
theaters.
it went to theaters.
Yeah, me too. Again, is this throwback or action? What would you refer to this?
Well, this one's definitely a throwback.
Of course, definitely. But okay, how about this? For the action, is it worth the watch?
Sure.
Just for the action alone?
Yeah,
Hmm?
it was in action alone compared to like Cyborg.
Yes, 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 it's better. Correct. All right. Yes. All right, guys. That is our throwback slash action review of 1989's Roadhouse. Have you seen this? Let us know what was your favorite moment. Did you catch any of the faux pas that we saw? As always, if you have a movie or show you'd like us to review, please leave us a comment below and also follow us on Instagram. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adon.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.